I know this is gonna start with horror movies, and we're gonna end up on like Disneyland or some shit.
Well, isn't that how you handle watching too scary of a movie? You go, oh, I got to turn on some cartoons after this, kind of desensitize myself.
Yeah, gotta turn on some fucking Corey in the House type shit. You know what I'm saying?
Top 10 anime of all time. Oh my gosh.
Oh no.
You were getting very sleepy.
Can I stop you for a minute?
Welcome back to Milktown podcast.
And not Corey in the House.
Not Corey in the House. My name is Sonny Says Stuff. I am in a house, but I'm not Corey. And I'm joined today with my co-host.
Nostalgia Nate. Yeah, that's me. I'm also in a house. In a basement. Something we have in common.
Ooh, we're both in a basement. I'm not wearing any socks.
I'm wearing everything. Every article of clothing I have, I'm wearing it right now. This is all I own.
Oh, I thought you were like trying to say like you were what's that Weezer music video, Pork and Beans, where he puts on like 200 shirts.
Talk about nostalgia.
No, we're going to talk about horror movies today.
Oh, is that why we're both in the basement?
Yes.
I'm pretty sure that's just like a matter of circumstance more than anything, but go on then.
Dude, I am so excited to talk about horror movies. I've been thinking about it all week. And before we get started, I'm going to get my milk fact out of the way so it doesn't get in the way of anything.
What you got?
My milk fact for today, there are only 2 horror movies that I can think of that prominently feature milk. The first one I can think of is Troll 2.
Okay.
And the second one I can think of, and I say horror movies, quote unquote, because of this one, Ernest Scared Stupid.
Okay. I don't think I've seen either of those, so.
They're both comedy oriented. Ernest more so. It was kind of a kid's movie or like a young adult movie. Regardless, scared the shit out of me when I was a kid. The monster in that movie, Trantor, one of the best designed monsters and like coolest sort of backstory, I think, for a long time that I watched. Like, I got into horror movies when I was like, I don't know, maybe 12, 13.
Oh wow. So you had a little time.
Yeah, I think I watched Ernest Scared Stupid for the first time when I was like 6 or 7.
I remember when Freddy versus Jason came out, and that was like 03, 04. My family went to go see it, and I was like 3 or 4 or 5 at the most. And I remember there was Team Jason and Team Freddy. My family was split. And so I saw my first horror movie probably like at 4 or 5, like really young.
That's pretty sick. I remember
Yeah.
I walked in on my mom watching the first Nightmare on Elm Street. I think I was maybe like 5 or so. And it was the exact scene whenever Johnny Depp gets ripped into the bed and there's like a fountain of blood
I
spewing
keep
out.
forgetting that's Johnny Depp, but that totally is, dude. I always forget that.
Oh yeah. That was like the first clip. It scared the shit out of me as a kid because I was in bed. I got up to get some water and walked in on that, and I was like, I can't go back to bed.
Wasn't that the one where like they needed like they had a room that they designed upside down, or am I thinking of something else? Because they were rolling around on the ceiling and they had to design the room upside down.
I think that's a different Nightmare on Elm Street movie.
Okay, I get them jumbled. There's so many, and then like there's reboots and like.
Yeah, whenever I talk about movies like horror movies, I don't typically go into like all of the sequels. The only exception to that is like Halloween, because there's one specific Halloween sequel that I think is so garbage, but I just love it so much, and that's H2O.
Yeah. For sure. H2O is weird.
Pretty sure that's the one with Hartnett, with Josh Hartnett in it.
I think so. I get them jumbled all the time is my problem. I'll be talking about one and then it'll be the other. Oh, which one? It's the one where they show Michael as a kid.
You're talking about like the Rob Zombie reboot?
The Rob Zombie reboot.
Yeah,
I know you don't talk about reboots, but that one, watching a kid Michael beat the shite out of a bully man, like with a branch to death.
Not just any bully.
Scarred, dude. Like,
not just any bully, that bully was played by none other than Junie from Spy Kids,
Right. Yeah, I remember that. I was just
who's
like,
now married to Megan Trainor.
crazy how that works, man. Yeah, I thought, maybe the branch was soft and he was just beating that. No, my
No,
man. I rewatched it and I'm like, no, that kid beat that other kid to death.
went full on berserker mode.
There's a lot of stuff I don't like about his remake. Like, do we got to get so sexual, man? I know horror movies have like a sexual tendency, but like he went way far. I was like, this is ridiculous, man. Like, show me the gore. I don't want to see I don't need all that.
That's kind of Rob Zombie's thing.
I
Though,
know.
'cause,
Yeah,
like
for
anything he
sure.
does with his wife, with like Sherry Moon Zombie,
Yeah.
there's a lot of sexual undertones.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was gonna. So you said the first horror movie you saw was Freddy versus Jason when you were like 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Were you
Uh-huh.
like fully cognizant for that? Like, do you remember the whole experience?
Don't remember the whole experience. I just remember we were Team Jason and I had to sit with my mom. But also, like, that movie was definitely rated R. And, like, my mom just got me a ticket because she's my mom. She can do what she wants. We later got it on DVD. And I remember that. Seeing that. Like, when I learned how to use the DVD player, I was just putting in whatever. So I'd go from, like, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory with fucking Gene Wilder to, like, Freddy versus Jason, like, titties out, knives out, like...
So Freddy versus Jason, is that the one where that stoner dude like turns into that crazy looking caterpillar thing?
I'm not sure. I don't remember all the kills in it. All I remember is the big final fight and where it's like, oh yeah, Freddy's afraid of fire and Jason's afraid of water. And who's gonna win? And I'm like, this is very Avatar: The Last Airbender, but way worse.
Yeah, no, I can't say I've seen like all the way through Freddy versus Jason. That
Been a
came
while.
out before I was really into horror movies. And I've seen a lot of things that have come out before I was in horror movies now.
Right.
I'm just not like it never really piqued my interest. I like certain aspects of each series and I'm just like, I'd rather just see them separately. To me it kind of just seems like fan fiction fever dream type stuff.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Like that new Scream that just came out. I didn't go see that.
My brother went and saw it.
How was it? Or did he tell you how it was?
I don't remember if he liked it or not. I know he loves David Arquette, so that's the main reason he went to see it. But
I
can't remember if he said it was good or not.
Yeah, I was up to date with the Jigsaw movies, like with the Saw series altogether. I like psychological horror. It goes a little far sometimes for sure. And then they did the reboot, and I thought that reboot movie was really good. And then they did another reboot with Chris Rock as like the main cop, and I'm like, I didn't watch it. I can't watch Marty the Zebra go through that. I'm sorry. I won't do it.
Can't watch Osmosis Jones.
I won't do it. Yeah, I won't do it now.
So what's the first like horror movie that you were fully cognizant for, where you're like, I remember the whole experience?
The first Saw movie.
The very first Saw movie?
I'll never forget because that's when they had low budget. They were more into suspense than they were gore. Like eventually it became very gory, but I did want to see, how it turned out for the murderer. But that first movie the whole thing was basically, is he gonna saw through his foot? Like, is this real? Like, what's going on? And you got a little bit of the backstory of the two characters in the bathroom. And whether or not they were shitty people, like at the end of the day, you didn't want to see those guys, do that.
Yeah.
And but like it's a crazy, it's basically a cop drama for the most part, like from there on. And you find out at the beginning of the new reboot before the Chris Rock one, the guy from the first one, Dr. Gordon, he's the one who cut his foot off. It shows what happened after. He solderizes or cauterizes, I think. Whatever one's the burning, he burns his leg stump closed. John Kramer, the killer, helps him up and is like, yo, you're gonna work with me now. Gordon's like, all right, cool. And he runs the game for the new reboot. He came back in the end and was like 15 years ago. You're like, like it was crazy.
Was it actually Carrie Elwes too?
Yeah,
What?
same actor. Like, yeah, dude, and that's some fan service right there.
A little bit,
like,
yeah.
Yeah, still hiding his British accent and all that.
That's kind of funny. I do want to
British?
revisit the topic of Saw, but I'm going to say like the first horror movie or scary movie that I saw that I was fully cognizant for and like present was Blair Witch Project.
Okay, I've never seen that actually. And people are like, how dare you?
A lot of people dislike it. A lot of people really dislike
Oh,
it.
really? Okay.
I still love it. I love it because it's, like, not great.
Yeah.
It very much feels like a college project.
Mhm.
But I also, like, I enjoy it. It's, like, a good amount, like, it leaves enough to the imagination that's, like, I don't know, it just keeps you invested and in a very
Mhm. I
interesting
feel that.
way, and then, like, it's a really, really
Yeah.
slow burn, and then very quickly, like, nothing really happens, but a lot of
Mhm.
implied happenings are going on at the end very rapidly. And that sounds dumb to say it out loud, but, like, it's a cool experience whenever you're like, "Okay, this is my first scary movie, like, is this what they're all like?"
Right, and they're so drastically different
Oh,
sometimes.
yeah.
There is a movie, called House of Nine, and it's more of a suspense movie, but it's kinda horror. I don't know, that line is like a really thin line between suspense and horror sometimes. And basically 9 people get locked in a house and only one of them can escape. And it was, like, way long ago. And, like, they were like, "Okay, well, we'll just party it up because this house has unlimited food," and the voice is just like, "Yeah, kill each other and get out," or whatever.
Mhm.
What happens is they were, like, dancing upstairs, getting drunk. One of the guys bumps one of the girls down the stairs, and she dies from falling down the stairs, and after that, all hell breaks loose. Like, people are like, "You killed her on purpose, get it," and it just goes nuts from there.
Hmm.
Something about that psychological, like, "What would you do?" type of, stuff really
Yeah.
messes me up. It messes with me hard, like, more than any kind of gore
Yeah, your
would.
description of that sounds very, similar to, like, the Stanford Prison Experiment to me, where it's like, if
Mhm.
you give
Yeah.
people that sort of power, how will they abuse it type of deal.
Right, and then there was, in the same vein, have you heard of that movie? I think it's called Platform or something like that.
Mm-mm.
And basically, these people choose to get imprisoned there. Some of them do, some of them are actual prisoners. There's a platform full of food that has enough food to feed everybody all the way down the floors, and there's, like, hundreds of floors. But humans are so greedy that the people on the top will, like, eat most of all of it, so that and then every month, you end up switching rooms, like, everybody gets gas and they switch rooms. So it's a weird psychological experiment of, can humans, like, work together to only eat their share and nothing else?
Mm.
And it's messed up for the people on the bottom because the whole point of the movie is, like, you can't shit upward, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you gotta count on the people above you to look out for you, and they don't not because humans suck, but, like, all that psychological stuff really, really, like, it's like humans are really just animals, man, like, it messes me
Oh,
up.
yeah, and so
Yeah.
there are several, like, horror movies that are or especially horror movie series that started as, like, kinda psychological. You mentioned Saw. Another one I
Mhm.
can think of
Yeah.
is Final Destination. Um,
Yes, yeah, oh, I love Final
the
Destination, dude.
first 2 of both of those series, like, fantastic. I love Final
Mhm.
Destination 2 just as much as I love Final Destination 1. Um,
Right.
both of those series sort of evolved into just, like, pure gore porn,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
that's I'm not super into that. Like, it's like Hostel. I
Right.
don't like gore for the sake of gore. I don't like torture, mutilation just for the sake of it.
Yeah. Mhm.
Especially
Yeah, I feel that.
and when I say that, I mean in media, not obviously
Yeah.
not out in the real world, but
Oh, no,
well,
nobody approves of
in the
that,
real world
you
too,
know?
I don't want people to get tortured or mutilated.
Of course not. Yeah, no.
But quick disclaimer, don't take anything I say out of context. Um,
This does not represent the views of Milktown in any way. We don't want anybody to stay safe out there,
exactly.
y'all.
But yeah, so like speaking of Final Destination specifically, the
Mhm.
first 2 I actually saw those when I was really young.
Ooh, that'll mess with you.
I saw the second one first. And
Okay.
the second one, um, the scene that, like, really stuck with me for a long time,
Mhm.
everyone talks about the log truck, right?
Yeah, 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 for
So,
sure.
like and I didn't think about that until I started driving and I got behind a log truck and I was like, "I'm about to get fucking Final Destination right
Right,
now."
yeah, I'm right.
Um, but no, it's the scene where, homeboy that plays the goalie in Goon, he gets, like, ripped into pieces by a barbed wire fence that gets picked
Yeah,
up by a
yeah, yeah.
vehicle.
Yes.
That stuck with me way harder than anything else in that movie.
I had the pleasure of watching them in order. So you get to see Clear Rivers is the one who's in the psych ward, right? In the second one. She checked herself in because she was so afraid of like being the last survivor.
Mhm.
That scene in Final Destination 2 messed me up because it's like, how far would you be willing to go to protect yourself? And she went, she stays in the psych ward, so padded rooms, like straight, like she wants to make sure nothing happens to her.
Mm-hmm.
That is scarier to me than just letting it come just letting it come. That's why to me, like psychological horror is like top of the list because it's one thing. Okay, a killer breaks into my house, impales me. At least it's done. Like psychological horror just sticks with you, man. It's
Yeah.
crazy. Have you seen them all? All of the Final Destination?
No, I
movies?
stopped after 3, and I've seen like clips of
Okay.
some of the newer ones. Like I think there's one where this like gymnast is on a balance board, and it just keeps
I hate that
yeah,
scene. I
it
hate it
keeps
so
showing
much.
you like different things that might kill her, and then she just fucking snaps her neck. Like,
Well, what happens is I don't want to go into too much. I mean, it's a horror movie, so, or of course we're talking about horror. It's fine. Anyway, the balance beam, a nail falls onto it, like point sticking up. So you think, oh, she's gonna like step on that nail and like I don't know. Another gymnast steps on the nail, knocks some shit over while the main girl is about to die is doing like flips on the bar. And yeah, she basically like folds in on herself and breaks her spine because that's just how it ends up. But that nail messed me up.
oh yeah,
I'm so scared of I'm scared of thumbtacks and like I have weird things I'm scared of, and I partially blame Final Destination. But the cool thing about Final Destination is I think it's the last one is like a surprise prequel. So like they do all this stuff, and the two survivors are like, okay, let's get away on a trip to Paris. What's the first movie about?
oh yeah, class trip to Paris.
Flight 180, and they die on the flight, and I'm like, that is such a callback. Like, whoa.
That's kind of cool, actually.
Yeah, and I like that part. That part was really like, okay, I can, yeah. And isn't the who plays like the graveyard, the Undertaker type guy? Like, it's the same guy who plays in Candyman, right?
Yes, it is. I don't know his name.
It's on the tip of my tongue. It's gonna bother me, but like
Tony Todd.
Tony Todd, baby. Yeah. Oh, I love his buttery voice, dude. He's like, you don't even want to fuck with that Mac Daddy, and I'm like, oh shit, I might be just a wee bit gay. This man's voice is making me feel some type of way for sure. Yeah, and he was in like the first two, I think. Whatever one, I think it was 3 that has the roller coaster, 3 or 4.
3 has the roller coaster.
He's the voice of the death, the death ride that goes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the voice of that too. So I was like, that's so nice.
Dude,
It's such a good callback.
I got his filmography pulled up right now. That dude has been in
Nice.
so many scary movies. That's like his
Every-
thing.
Yeah, dude's crazy, man. I love it
Yeah.
in a good way. Obviously, I always specify in a good way because people are like, "Well, that's kind of an ableist." I'm like, I don't mean it like that. I mean nuts, like in a good like. Dude's insane. He's doing so much, type of thing. But yeah, man, that Final Destination stuff is really that really got to me. I grew up with I think we had the second one on DVD or something like that. And then there's all your slashers. You have like Michael Myers. So yeah, Halloween, Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th. Which Sci-Fi finds every excuse to put a marathon whenever Friday the 13th. I like they mark Friday the 13th on their calendar so they could just run all the movies back to back to back.
Yeah. So
And
sorry to interrupt you there. I wanted
no,
to
you're good. You're
go
good.
back before we forgot about it. So you were talking about how like nails and thumbtacks are like a real fear of yours.
Dude, I really don't like
I
them.
think we should talk about our real fears to see. I'm curious to see if it influences what horror movies we're into, because I haven't.
That's
That's
interesting.
something I
Okay.
haven't really delved into before, and so like my actual real life fears:
Hmm.
birds, number one. Birds exist. I hate when they fly at me. I don't like being near them.
Hmm.
I hate birds.
I had that fear when I was younger, a lot younger, like three or 4 years old.
And then
Over time, it left me, but like, whew, I feel that. I know what you mean.
so,
That's a very real,
yeah, I'm
valid fear
still
to
fucked
have.
up by birds. But then that and my non-real fear, something that doesn't exist, zombies.
Right,
And
yeah.
we've talked about this before. Like we have
Mhm.
streamer friends that like I'll go and stop by their stream and they're playing like Dead by Daylight or something. I'm like, hey guys, like I have to ask now, uh, are there zombies in what you're playing today? And if they say yes, I'm
Right.
like, hey, have a great stream.
Right, yeah. I don't blame you, man. Yeah. Is that all as far as your fears?
Yeah, like those are the two biggest ones. It's I mean, birds could probably cycle into just like animals that might bite me.
Fair enough.
But like
Okay.
I'm not like dogs, cats, stuff like that. That doesn't bother me. It's whenever I think it's approaching an animal that might bite me that's like wild. Um,
Right.
that's something that I think, and that doesn't happen as much. I see birds a lot, so that's a big one.
Yeah.
What?
For me, obviously, like nails and thumbtacks, and people don't understand. Like, you want me to put up your Christmas lights? You hang the nails. I won't. I won't do it. I don't know. It's more thumbtacks. I think the smaller and thinner the needle, the worse it is for me, weirdly. Like nails, I've gotten over.
Are you afraid of needles?
Like getting vaccine, it pinches. At the end of the day, I'm not afraid of the feeling, the thought. I don't know. The thinner something can cut me, the worse I'm afraid of it.
Okay.
Like, I'd rather, I don't know, that can stem, I don't know which way it is, if I was afraid before, or if it stems from me watching so many horror movies like Saw 2. They throw Amanda into a pit of needles, and she has to dig her way
Yes.
through, and there's just more and more. I hate it. Can't stand it.
Now, isn't Saw 2 also the one where there's like the one of the characters has to put her arms into a box and
Correct.
it has like
Yes.
blades that if she goes down it'll like
It'll
cut her wrist and stuff?
slide. Yeah, it'll slice into her. Yeah. Yep, that's the same one. And yeah, so that's a big one for me. I don't have a lot outside of that. I used to be afraid of the dark, kind of got over it.
Mhm.
Some of my fears stem from trauma. Like in general, I just don't like yelling. I grew up with it, grew up around it. Don't like it, But that's a lot.
No, I feel that.
Nobody wants to be yelled at. No, violent slamming stuff.
Yeah.
I have a very volatile reaction to that kind of thing. Non-real fears, not a lot, I'd say. I don't know. You said yours is like zombies. I'm not too afraid of. I'm afraid that I'm not going to have the willpower to overcome unreal fears. Things that I don't know exist, like ghosts, debatable. You know what I mean? Ghost spirits, that type of stuff you can't physically fight is hard for me to. I'm afraid of that kind of. If I can't fight back, I'm afraid of it. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
If I don't
I
have,
can see
if
that.
I don't have the power to fight back, like I used to get really bad sleep paralysis too, but like the feeling of waking up and gasping for air, like just tells me like whatever I'm fighting against, I cannot beat. And that sucks. I hate it. That'll bother me for sure. But besides that, I mean, anything combatable, go down fighting, man.
Yeah, no, and I totally understand that. But the thing that I wanted to talk about, so obviously I'm just going to go with birds here. There is a very like popular scary movie made by Alfred Hitchcock called The Birds.
I've heard of that. I haven't seen it, but yeah.
Not a movie that bothers me. I can watch it all day long.
Huh, interesting.
Real life birds, run for cover. I can't stand them.
Yeah.
But as far as zombies go,
Mhm.
I don't like seeing people dressed up as zombies in person. I don't like seeing media with zombies in it. The only exception is I was a big fan of The Walking Dead for a while, but my justification was that there was so much happening between the people that I could look past all the zombie stuff and sit there in fear while that happened, and it made the show better for me.
Right.
But stuff like and I think this goes back to just gratuitous like sort of gore porn.
Mhm.
There is like with zombie movies in particular, I think there is something about when people are consuming that,
Yeah.
when they're watching it, they're looking for very specific amounts of like people actively being eaten by zombies and killed.
Right.
Um, a lot of movies overdo it. Like one that I can think of in particular that scares the ever living fuck out of me is Dawn of the Dead, like 2006, whenever that came out,
Uh-huh.
the Zack Snyder one.
Yeah. Zack Snyder is that man's a whole can of worms. Didn't he get a
Yeah.
Batman film? And isn't that the one where he's like pulls out a gun and starts shooting people?
Mhm,
Same Zack
yeah.
Snyder, right? Yeah, the one who was like, okay, yeah, Batman's just gonna pull out the gat and start. I'm like, dude, maybe don't.
Yeah, so like there's a couple of Zack Snyder films that like Actually, now I'm thinking about it, most Zack Snyder films are kind of the same sort of like Instagram filter over the film. Like
Right.
300. The only movie I really like by Zack Snyder is Sucker Punch. If you've seen that,
I haven't, but I've heard good things about it.
Sucker Punch is kind of like a fever dream. It's
Okay.
I like it a lot.
I just thought of another
Um,
fear.
Go for it.
Lava. I'm
Lava?
terrified because they came out with that movie way back called Volcano, and it's just like a city trying to escape the aftermath ish of a volcano. And there's a scene where a construction worker is trying to jump off of his trailer over some lava to meet with his other fellow construction workers. He doesn't make the jump. You sit there and watch him melt and cry and be in pain until his like nerve endings burn off, and then he just loses life. So lava's a note for me. I will never go up by a volcano. I won't hike a mountain that has ever had an active volcano. If there's a bunch of ash there, black soil, I won't do it. Lava's a big
Yeah, I
one.
haven't seen that one, but the first one I thought of, like, have you seen Dante's Peak?
No, no, I haven't. Is that about volcanoes?
It is about a volcano. I think it's about specifically the eruption at Mount St. Helens.
Okay. Anything, now that I think about it, in that same vein, geysers, anything that can melt your face off, superheated stuff. I don't like the skin burning effect in movies. I don't like it.
Yeah.
And in real life, I can't imagine it'd be pleasant either. You know what I mean?
So I apologize, I was incorrect. It's actually not about Mount St. Helens. I think there is a movie specifically about it, but Dante's Peak, based on the fictional town of Dante's Peak.
Uh huh.
But Pierce Brosnan
Mhm.
and Linda Hamilton are in it, and it was
Huh.
a box office bomb, but a lot of people love it. I really like it. Um, but yeah, dude, Dante's Peak's tight. Have you seen The Core?
We had that I think on DVD if I remember. I don't remember seeing it, but I think my parents put it in once or twice maybe.
Yeah, The Core is a really interesting. Well, I mean, it's science fiction, but it is scary. It's a disaster movie. Disaster movies, I think, should fall into the scary, but not in the
Definitely.
same way that we're thinking of.
But it
It's a
is
different
it
type
is
of fear.
terrifying though. It's like an
Yeah.
instead of a how do I put it? I put it into categories. So like there's palatable terror, which is like a a masked man's doing it. Even Final Destination is kind of palatable. But then there's like inevitable things like natural disasters. Like they're just screwed. Like that's why I can't watch those. Those mess me up. When you just know
Okay.
they're just done for. It's like I don't want to watch them be done for.
I get that.
Um anything with, attacks, groups attacking other buildings and I won't. Even if it's a real documentary or something that I can't bring myself because anything history wise, it's very interesting to watch, but you know what's gonna happen, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And that it bothers me for sure. Maybe I have a lot more fears than I let on, but some stuff just bothers me, man. Like I can't.
Hey, dude, it's okay to be scared of stuff. Nothing's wrong with that.
Well, of course. Well, that's natural. It's actually scarier to not have that emotion. There was a cartoon that did that. Oh, Timmy, yeah, in Fairly Odd Parents, Timmy wished that he had no emotions. Problem with having like no emotions is you also have like fear is an emotional response. You don't have it. So they had him doing like Daredevil stuff at the end that could have very well killed him. You don't have if you don't have the sense of danger, you could still be in danger but just not feel it. That's not cool.
Yeah. The reason I bring up The Core is because that's another one that's like it's not lava, because I guess lava by definition is
Molten rock,
magma above the surface,
right?
right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That would
Um,
be technically. Yep.
so The Core is it's a movie. I What's that dude's name? He played Two-Face in the like '07 Dark Knight. Aaron Eckhart.
Hmm.
He's in it, but it's about the core of the Earth. It stops spinning in conjunction with the Earth,
Uh
and it completely ruins, like, birds just fall out of the sky.
oh.
Really interesting
It's
movie,
messed up.
and it's about them trying to restart the Earth's core spinning.
Right. Yeah, that's a little nuts. Man, I just found another fear. I'm really starting to like relearn my fears because I don't face them every day. Caves. Uh-uh. I don't.
Yeah, caves are terrifying.
I won't hike with you in a cave. Any cave structure where there's multiple corridors, you will not convince me to go in there. I will not go down into the mines with you. You can forget about it. I had like a full on panic at Disneyland of all places. The Indiana Jones ride. where you're about to hit the boulder and then it just drops you. I freaking panicked because yes, it's a ride, but like none of that. I'm good on caves. I think there's a movie called like The Cave or something, and a girl has to like break her leg at one point to crawl out because she gets stuck. And then there's that 127 hours or something like that movie about the real life story about a guy who went hiking, didn't tell anybody where he was going to be, got his arm trapped between a boulder and the side of the cave wall, and just pulls out his pocket knife and just, after drinking his piss for like 3, I'm like, I can't do any of that either. That's also kind of why I don't play the Far Cry games. I think it's Far Cry where like you're always some dude and you come across indigenous land and you either have to pick like the crazy option of like kill all your friends or like the other crazy option of just get murdered by the tribe. And I don't like lost scenarios, man. I'd like to think there's always hope.
So how did you like Us? Jordan Peele's Us.
Oh, that's different. That's not really caves. But how did I like it in general? I love that movie. Jordan Peele's so good.
He is kind of a genius.
Us, and I always get them confused, but Us is not. So Get Out's the one where they're trying to trap people in bodies
Yes.
psychologically, but Us is the one with the duplicates, the duplicate project that failed,
Yes.
and the whole twist of the movie being like she was the duplicate the whole time.
Yes.
Like that for me was very good. I think fighting your double is a really cool concept when done right. And it messed me up. Like it also shows how fine the line is between like, what do we consider to be a living being, and like it's messed up, but it's a good movie. I love Us. It was a good one.
I really enjoyed
Um,
Us. I'm super excited for Nope to come out.
yeah, for sure. I love how all of his movie titles so far have been like really short, like
Yeah, just kind of succinct
really
and to
easy.
the point.
Yeah, yep.
But
And
Jordan
then
Peele does
yeah,
something that I think is important for horror movies. And so a lot of people, whenever they get the idea of a horror movie, it's like go, 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 scary, 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 scary.
right.
There has to be a balance, otherwise the moments don't hit as hard. And Jordan Peele
Yeah,
does a
I
great job balancing like humor and heartfelt interaction with that
right,
really like sit in this uncomfortable, terrifying situation for 2 hours.
right. I like that because going back to Final Destination, there's a reason that people like 1 and 2 and then kind of fall off. 1 and 2, the characters are more fleshed out and you feel for them a little bit.
Mhm.
3, they're just assholes. You just want them to die. Like it's hard to get invested in characters in horror movies, especially now. It's like, oh, you're dead, you're dead, you're dead. He does such a good job at like when someone dies, they were at least built up. Like you knew who they were. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And in Us, I feel that because even when they're fighting their doubles and at the end there, it's like those were both like people, like actual. If he makes them feel alive,
Yeah.
not just like, oh, we're just gonna murder, this flesh bag or whatever you want to call it. It's like that's really important. Yeah, and then the balance with humor, like you could be laughing 1 minute and then just be on the edge of your seat, like tense in the next scene because I liked Get Out in the same vein because TS motherfucking A.
Yeah.
And everybody like, you laugh him off because he's a conspiracy theorist, but he sure does come save his homie. In the original cut of Get Out, speaking of Get Out, where they pull him over at the end, it left such a bad taste in everybody's mouth because I guess the original ending was supposed to be like some sort of like violent act of him. After all that, he gets like killed by the police or something
I
like
heard
that.
about that.
And the audience didn't like it. They're like, that leaves a bad taste in our mouth. Can you please change the ending? And they did. But like, that's a very real, maybe it was too real more real than people were ready for, but that is a very real
Dude, I'm
consequence
not
of
gonna
like,
lie to you.
if I got pulled over and got covered in blood, anybody, honestly, but
Yes.
like, me being a person of color covered in blood, they're gonna shoot the shit out of me, man.
They
Like,
should have
it's
honestly, he should
crazy.
have left it. And like
Yeah, and just let people sit on that.
exactly. I think that would
Just
have
sit with that for a while and
'cause
think about it.
think
Yeah,
okay, when did Get Out come out? Like 2015?
uh, something like that.
So it's been
Somewhere,
like
yeah, around there.
7 years, right?
Yeah,
So many socio-political things have happened in that time, especially regarding race. If he had left that
right.
ending the way that it was, and it was still the
Whew.
same cultural phenomenon, I can't even imagine like the sort like just maybe just people that hadn't ever tried to process what it was like on the other side. And that's also like us. Speaking of processing
Yeah.
what's on the other side, like everything he
Right.
does
Yeah.
is like such a smart allegory for things. I love Jordan Peele. He's one of my favorites.
It's a good reminder that real life is scary, man.
Yes.
Like even outside of the horrors he creates, which aren't many, there a lot of them are social things that people go through every day. It's scary. Like the world itself is scary, and he really brings that out.
Yes.
So I'll always watch all of his stuff that he comes out with because it's just so good.
Did you watch Weird City? I know we both talked about having a certain premium service. Weird City came out exclusively for that.
Oh, I didn't know. No, I've never heard of that.
Weird City's like an anthology series, and I think it opened the doorway for him taking over Twilight Zone.
Gotcha.
But yeah, Weird City's interesting. It's like it's funny, but the concepts are really twisted, really
Right.
twisted. So the first episode's got like the dude who played Al Bundy and Married with Children, and Dylan
Mhm.
O'Brien. Those are like the two most famous people in it. And LeVar Burton. LeVar Burton's
Mhm.
in it. The next episode has Michael Cera in it. Yeah, it's weird. It's aptly named. But it's I mean, yeah, check out Weird City if you haven't. It's I think that came out around the same time Get Out did.
Okay. I have a movie on the tip of my tongue. I'm gonna look it up. But you keep telling me about different horror movies in the same vein.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna go over some of my favorites here. I'm just gonna list them off and we can talk about them if you want to. But the thing that I want
Gotcha.
to talk about specifically, The Thing, uh one of my favorites. Not the very original, but the remake that John Carpenter did. Fantastic practical effects and stuff like that. We talked about in the last episode, you referenced practical effects, and that's the exact movie that I thought of that I wanted to talk about. But I love John Carpenter. He also did
Mhm.
Halloween, The
Yep.
Fog. My favorite movie, Big Trouble in Little China. He also did.
Yeah, you were telling me we gotta like do a watch party of that sometime for sure.
Oh, dude, absolutely. I love Big
You
Trouble in
have a
Little
lot to
China.
show me because I mean I'm kind of behind when it comes to movies, like all the big ones everyone's seen. I just finished Harry Potter, the fourth one. Like, and everybody's like,
Yeah,
you just started?" I'm like, "Dude, I didn't like when I grew up. My family wasn't like into it, you know." I remember
yeah.
the name of that one movie though. Before we
What
go
was
on to
it?
special effects, It Follows. Have you seen It Follows?
That's on my list. It's on my
Oh,
top five.
dude. You want to talk about like sending a message? That message is all about like careful who you sleep with. You don't know what you're gonna
Yeah,
catch, and they never showed the monster. They could have at any point been like, "What is the? It's just a monster. Like it just kills you, and it follows the chain of people you slept with till it comes back to you." And that's so messed up to me.
yeah. So the reason I like It Follows, the score, the music for that movie,
Hmm.
chef's kiss good. It's so good. Um, I I'm not doing it any service. I can't tell you who did the score, but
Right.
if you get the time and you just want to listen to some dope music, look up the It Follows score.
It's really good. Yeah.
Uh, but the second thing I want to talk about with It Follows is that I remember watching it and I watched it with both of my older brothers
Hmm.
and they were like at the end of it they were like, "Huh, that was weird." And my other brother's like, "Dude, yeah, I didn't really enjoy that." And
What?
I was like, "I love this
What do you
movie."
mean? That was a great movie. What?
And they were like, "Why do you like it so much?" I go, "It," and this is what I said verbatim. I go, it hurt my morals."
Yeah.
Like after watching that movie, like yeah, the whole allegory behind that movie is that like basically the monster is an STD, right? It's
More or
sexually
less. Yeah.
transmitted. And the idea behind it is people aren't what they seem, even though they may lead you to believe that they have your best interests in mind.
A that B. There was like a secondary message. So yeah, the main comparison STDs, but intentions behind sexual encounters. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
normally, if this monster didn't exist, he'd be an asshole who wanted to have like a one night stand. But he was doing that with malicious intent to just get his way to survive. I guess you know what I mean. And a
Hmm.
lot of that throughout the movie is like the girl when she gets it and it's following her. Her friend's like, "Well, I'll sleep with you because I've liked you anyway." And like, I'm like, "This is nuts." Like, it's crazy. To
Yeah, it's like it's very much a pass the buck in a negative situation type deal.
right.
Like paying it. It's more like owing it forward
Right.
instead of paying it forward. But yeah, like in that movie specifically, like she just random sexual encounters trying to get away from it, and it always comes back. It always
Right.
comes back to get her.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so also speaking of like never seeing the monster,
Uh-huh.
that's one of the things that I like about The Thing. Always
Ah.
different and never looks the same. I don't know why I love that so much, but The Thing specifically, actually now that I'm thinking about it, that's the common theme between the three that I wrote down.
Yeah.
Because the third one I wrote down was Color Out of Space.
Okay, I haven't seen that one, but
It's awesome.
okay.
but The Thing, dude, so actually I looked it up because I wanted to do this person's service for sure.
Uh-huh.
The guy that did the practical effects for The Thing, his name was Rob Bottin, Bottin.
Okay.
He was 23 years old when he
That's how
worked
old
on
I'm
The
turning
Thing.
this year. That's crazy.
That
dude.
movie's effects still hold up, and it's been like 40 years, 40 plus years, something like that.
That's why I always say practical. I've always prioritized practical effects over the special stuff you can do on a computer, just because they do usually hold up. Like it physically looks that way, and it doesn't feel fake
Yeah, and
when it's
so
done well.
So I watched The Thing because of my tattoo artist. He recommends stuff to me all the time. We have very similar tastes. So I watched The Thing based on his recommendation. It's also why I watched Color Out of Space.
Okay.
But one day I went in and I was telling him, dude, I watched The Thing. It's awesome. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, did you see the prequel movie they made? And I go, no, I didn't see that. They made a prequel movie like 10, 12 years ago, something like that, with Mary Elizabeth Winstead in it.
Nice.
And he was like, yeah, dude, he's like, it's really not that bad. It's the events leading up to The Thing. Like the movie ends where The Thing starts exactly. And I was like, oh, that's kind of tight.
Huh,
and I was like, is it still practical effects? And he goes, no. And I go, what? Why would they choose to not do practical effects if that's the thing if that's the thing, if that's like what The Thing is known for?
Right. Yeah.
And he goes, initially they did. They hired a company that specialized in recreating Rob Bottin's work.
Okay.
Like they wanted to be faithful to it, and they had a whole movie shot with practical effects. And at the last second, the studio was like, "Scrap it, CGI all the effects."
No.
And then they, not only that, they deleted the cut with practical effects.
You couldn't even get it. That's stupid. That's way stupid.
Yep.
Speaking
and I'm
of,
hoping that with the rise of like the release the Snyder cut,
right? Yeah.
with the Justice League, I hope that eventually enough of horror fans. Actually, I'm putting it out in the universe right now. Anyone who's listening, tell all your friends.
Tell everybody.
We're gonna rally for the practical cut of The Thing prequel. Let's bully the studio into giving us what we want.
It worked with Sonic, man. Speaking of recording a whole film and then going back and changing something, this is not a horror film. I'm talking about Shrek. My boy Mike Myers recorded all of his lines normally. And then at the last minute, he's like, yo, I got this really cool accent. Can I redo it? And they were like, sure, go for it. We recorded all of the Shrek. Imagine doing the script all over again so this man can do his accent. I think Shrek would be the same without the accent, obviously. But, like...
That'd be the third iteration of Shrek 2, because the first iteration had Chris Farley before he passed.
Yeah.
Right, so they recorded with Chris Farley, because there's like surviving clips of the storyboard, right?
Yeah. Then, I remember that. And then eventually Mike Myers. And yeah. Shrek is crazy. I was trying to think of, there was another movie, but I totally lost it when you were like, well, release this cut of it. Anyway.
Yeah, sorry about that. I just really wanted to instigate that.
Right, yeah.
But yeah, Color Out of Space, so it's based on a H.P. Lovecraft story.
Okay.
Same name. Really interesting premise where in the story the bad entity literally is a color. It's an unperceivable color from space.
Wow.
And it's a living entity that kind of infects the things around it and spreads.
Huh.
So whenever they were trying to translate that to film, what they decided on was this like really off-putting, like neon pinkish purple color that's like it gives the theme a really it gives the movie a really interesting feel
Okay.
because that's not like an off-putting color. It's like actually kind of inviting until it becomes eerie. And
Right.
I love that. And then some of the stuff that happens in that movie, I don't want to go too into detail with it because
I'll have to catch it at some point, dude.
if you haven't seen it, please go watch it. It's
Yeah.
crazy. There's some really fucked up things that happen that remind me of The Thing.
Okay.
Yeah. And I like I said, I don't want to go into too much detail.
That's
Please
fair.
go watch it. Please just go watch it because it's so crazy.
Something I do want to go into detail about. I got reminded because we were talking about birds and we were talking about entities you can't see. Do you remember when the bird box phenomenon was just like sweeping the internet?
I do. I kind of remember Box, but I never watched it.
Okay, you're not missing much. I'm gonna spoil it now. If you really, obviously, if you haven't watched it yet and you don't want to be spoiled, go watch it first. I don't think I'm doing Sonny a disservice by telling him what's up because it really wasn't even that big of a whoop. So Bird Box, it's only called that because the birds help you sense whatever invisible entity is like near, and if you see it, it makes you either A, kill yourself, or B, you turn into like a vessel for it and get other people to open their eyes pretty much. The problem was instead of completely leaving the monster, innocuous, like undetectable, if you had like the crazy powers where you've seen it but you're still alive somehow, this artist came in and he started drawing it on a piece. So that kills everything for me. Now we kind of know what the monster looks like on these sketches, and they're just like crazy fanatics about it's beautiful, it's beautiful. And that movie stars Sandra Bullock, who is playing Sandra Bullock, of course, because she always do.
Yeah.
And it was all right. Like I get it, I get the hype, but like there are much better told scary stories out there. Creepypastas became popular in like 2010. They're still popular now. Like those same uploaders are still uploading stuff a decade later. People write a lot of cool stuff.
Yes, agreed. But speaking of Netflix scary stuff, have you seen the movie The Ritual?
No, I haven't.
It's in my top 5, and it's a Netflix horror movie. I thought it was going to be dumb, but oh my gosh, I'm going to blank on his name, but he played Shakespeare in that movie Anonymous. Like really famous actor's son, I think it's Brendan Gleeson's son.
When I hear Shakespeare and actor, I just think of like Leonardo DiCaprio because wasn't he in like Romeo and Juliet or something?
Yes, he was in Romeo and Juliet with Claire Danes, John Leguizamo.
I love John Leguizamo.
Is it Domhnall? Oh no, but I do love Domhnall Gleeson. He was in Star Wars. I'm just gonna look it up because I'm what is his name? Oh, Rafe Spall. That's who it is. So, wrong Harry Potter character. So, I was thinking Brendan Gleeson, he plays Mad-Eye Moody, who you haven't met yet if you've only seen 4. Actually, no, you just met Mad-Eye Moody in 4.
Mad-Eye Moody being the ghost?
No, Mad-Eye Moody's the guy with the goggle.
Oh, yeah. The evil mofo.
Yeah.
Spoilers, I guess. But everybody seems to know Harry Potter but me.
Yeah, if you haven't seen Harry Potter by now.
Yeah. Then you're in my boat. Sorry about that. Oh, speaking of Harry Potter, couple of co-ops, Mr. had spoiled something from one of the Harry. I'm not going to say which spoiler it was, but it's a movie I haven't gotten to yet. And I was dead ass in the chat like, yo, I haven't seen them all. Like, you didn't spoiler warning. You just blurted that out. He went, oh my God. And he felt so bad. I'm like, dude, it's fine. It's not a huge spoiler. You didn't ruin the series for me.
Yeah.
I get a message from him like later, like late in the night. He goes, dude, I'm so sorry. I hope you're not mad. I'm like, dude, you're good. But the stuff I've had to put up with this past couple weeks, really, a Harry Potter spoiler is like bottom of the barrel. Like, that's fine.
Yeah, in all fairness, it has been like 10 years since Harry Potter ended.
Yeah, and so that's really on me.
But I get that you haven't seen it.
Yeah, for sure. No, that's more on me at this point. There's a lot of stuff that I know that's already been spoiled. But I'm still enjoying them as they come.
But what I was saying, Rafe Spall, I had the wrong Harry Potter character in mind. His dad plays Peter Pettigrew. His name is Timothy Spall.
Gotcha.
But yeah, Rafe Spall, he's in The Ritual. The Ritual is a Netflix scary movie, and it's sort of based in like Norse mythology.
Okay. This is
Um,
sounding familiar, but go on.
it's sick. I thought it was gonna be like another Blair Witch Project type thing,
Hmm.
but it like it kind of is, but it isn't at the same time. So uh the main big bad in The Ritual comes from Norse mythology, and they're called Jotun or
Okay.
giants. And it's kind of hinted that the main big bad might be like a version of Loki.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, it's really tight. It's really cool. A lot of interesting, suspenseful, and terrifying moments in that.
Hmm. I know we passed psychological a while ago, but there was one I forgot to bring up. Have you seen the Bellco Experiment?
I've heard of it. I have not seen it.
Okay. I won't spoil too many things, but the general premise is people get locked down in their office building, and the voice comes over the intercom and goes, "Kill this many people, or I'm going to kill half of you." And like, so basically, at first, nobody wants to kill anybody. It's just another one of those movies where it's like, what are my morals anymore? You know what I mean? Like, I watched somebody get beat to death with a stapler in that movie. Like, it was nuts. Like,
Hmm.
bringing out the office supplies. Where's the steel chair? You know what I mean? Like, they were going nuts in that movie. Definitely go watch it though. They hint at a sequel, and I don't know when that's or if that's ever coming out, but it was a really good movie.
I don't know if that's something I would be interested in, because that kind of seems like the when you say someone gets beat to death with a stapler, that kind of seems like the excessive violence or
Oh
gore
well,
that I don't
that's
really want to.
well. The other thing is they don't show a lot of it. I think it doesn't even
Oh,
have an
okay.
R rating. So there's a lot of cutaways in it. Nothing too super gory about it. More of an action. It has an action movie feel where you know there are guns eventually and people get shot, but you don't really see like it's not too bad. And I know because
Okay.
I share that sentiment of like, I know that I'm like a Saw fan, but like, I don't know, it loses its luster when everybody's just ripping each other apart all the time. It's
Yeah, I
definitely
get it.
more psychological and weird and less. I think it has like a PG-13 rating or something like that.
Dude, okay, so speaking of PG-13 rated movies, so whenever I watched Blair Witch for the first time, I was like 12.
Mhm.
Um, that's also around the time that I got into dating, like in general, like in middle school. So like I was going on dates and stuff,
Right.
and I had this girl went to a different school than I did. She lived the next town over, so it was like 20 minutes away.
I do have a
And
girlfriend. She goes to a different school. That's all. But
I
literally,
almost
but
exclusively
literally,
dated girls from different schools.
very smart. Very
Um,
smart.
but yeah, so I had asked this girl out, and I was like, "Hey, do you want to go like to the movies with me?" And she was like, "Yeah.
Mhm.
What do you want to go see?" And I had just seen, I think Twilight had just come out,
Okay.
and I had seen Twilight twice already, and I was like, I just watched Twilight. I don't want to see Twilight. My sister and I used to go and see a lot of movies, so we went and saw Twilight together, and then like very quickly after that, there was a movie that came out around the same time called The Unborn.
Okay.
Um, and I remember being like, "Oh, this movie isn't terrible."
Mhm.
I was like, "Do you want to go see The Unborn with me?" And she was like, "Yeah, let's go." Um, the, it's not great. it's not. It's not a good scary movie. There's like one good moment that I remember where it's more body horror than anything, like contortionist type stuff,
Okay.
and that's like the only real key moment from that movie that I can recall. But yeah, that's just PG-13 horror movies to me. Like they have to be done almost perfectly to even be like palatable. Like
Yeah.
otherwise, it's just campy.
Yeah. No, that's why I liked Belko a lot. It was just it has John Gallagher Jr. in it, and he
I
is
don't know who that is.
uh I know him, but not in the way other people might know him. I know him from his work on Spring Awakening, which is a Broadway show.
Yes.
And like he was a child when he was in that, or like a teenager. So to see him grown and like in a more like serious, I mean, he was in a really serious role in the show too, but like see him just to see him grown was really weird for me. It's like, is this even the same guy? And I Googled it, and according to Google, it's the same guy. Correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, they were like early work, Spring Awakening, and I was like, wow,
Hmm.
he's a good singer, I guess. And also, I get to watch him kill some people, so very Very good for me. Robin Hood Men in Tights, baby.
Have you noticed that since like 2010, Patrick Wilson has been in like all of the scary movies?
I didn't think about it, but stop being right. How about you stop being right about things? You're gonna do that?
Because I mean, like he's what was the first one they did? It was Insidious. He was in Insidious, right?
Uh-huh.
And then they did The Conjuring, and then The Conjuring Part 2, and then all of those spin-offs or
Right.
whatever. He was in a movie that by the time it came around, I was really tired of seeing Patrick Wilson in everything. But this movie had Kurt Russell in it.
Okay.
And going back to The Thing, I fucking love Kurt Russell.
Okay.
He's in Big Trouble in Little China. I love Kurt
Which
Russell.
I still need to see.
Backdraft, awesome movie, Kurt Russell. But yeah, so Bone Tomahawk, it got recommended to me on Amazon because I had gone on like a horror movie streak, and it was like, hey, based on your recent watch history, you might like this.
Mhm.
And I was like, that's fucking Kurt Russell. I'm gonna turn it on. So I'm watching this movie, Bone Tomahawk.
Mhm.
Bone Tomahawk.
Okay.
For all of you that want to watch this movie. It is a Western movie, like a cowboy movie, but it's a horror movie, and it's the slowest burn of all time. It's so fucking crazy. I recommend it to everyone. I was talking with one of my old bosses, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I love horror movies." And I was like, "Have you seen Bone Tomahawk?" And he goes, "No." I go, "Watch it.
Mhm.
Watch it. Let me know what you think." And he comes back into work after the weekend, and he goes, "I came in today wanting to tell you this, and this is how it happened for me. I sat down to watch Bone Tomahawk, and I got about halfway through, and I thought to myself, Sonny doesn't know what a scary movie is." And then he goes, "I saw the ending and went, oh wait, yeah, he does. This is really fucked up."
Speaking of fucked up, how about that Goosebumps? Just kidding. I love Goosebumps. Goosebumps, those books are what started me on like my horror journey. Because it was a lot more childish, like not humor. It had some humor to it, but it was like those things were also very scary to me in a sense. Obviously nowhere near an adult scary movie, but there was some things in there that are like my puppet came to life. Like, yeah, some of that stuff messed me up.
Like, have you seen The Boy?
No.
It's okay. It's okay.
Okay.
I haven't seen the sequel yet. They made a sequel, but
Gotcha.
the thing that I want to talk about with Goosebumps is the art style on the books.
Very
The art
interesting.
style of the covers of the Goosebumps books. There's one guy that did every single one of them.
Probably made a killing.
I see what you did there.
I
see what you did there.
Had to sneak
His
one in
name
there.
is, yeah, you got it. You snuck it in there. It was right under the radar. But Tim Jacobus is the illustrator's name.
Okay.
He did every single one of those books, and I was thinking about merch ideas, right?
Uh-huh.
And I was like, dude, how cool would it be to call back to something that I really enjoyed? There was a period in my life I was really into like metalcore and like post-hardcore music, like A Day to Remember.
Yeah.
And during the early 2010s, a lot of the art for the merch was the same sort of like really cartoony and colorful art for this kind of like dark and angry music.
Right.
And I was like, oh, how cool would it be to kind of call back to that on a piece of merch for me as a Twitch streamer that was like a Goosebumps cover. And it was like me disappearing in front of a microphone. It's just like Sonny says stuff now on Twitch, whatever. But I looked up the guy. I was like, man, who did all the Goosebumps books? And it was Tim Jacobus. And I was like, I wonder if you can specifically commission him to do work. You can't, but he does sell original prints of all of the Goosebumps art that he like signs.
Nice.
And I think a portion of it goes to like charity.
There you go.
So yeah, if you guys are into charity and collecting cool art from your childhood, go check out Tim Jacobus's website.
I want like an Animorphs, where I slowly just turn into like Crash Bandicoot or something. So if anybody wants to draw that fan art, that'd be funny as hell.
Fucking sick.
That'd be cool as fuck. I was just thinking about like cool like book cover art from my childhood, and I was like, Animorphs was like a big deal. Like I didn't read a bunch of the books, but like just the art alone was like, yo, pretty sick. Yeah,
Dude, so Animorphs, I've read a lot of those books.
I read like one or two maybe, but not a whole bunch. I was more into like Captain Underpants and Super Diaper Baby. Like that, all that art was really cool.
That's Dave Pilkey. That's who did those. But Animorphs, dude, that's the first real introduction to sci-fi for me. Like aside from like watching and not understanding Terminator as a kid.
I couldn't tell you why they turned into animals. Do you know the answer? You read the books. I
do know the
I
answer.
couldn't tell you for the life of me why did they turn into animals. I've read like one or two, like I said.
And I'm not an expert on Animorphs by any means, and this is me recalling stuff from, like nearly 20 years ago. That hurts to say out loud.
Well, that nearly disintegrates my lifespan, so I appreciate that.
Well, I mean, I'm 26, so
yeah, we're only like 4 years apart, man.
I know, but I was also reading like more advanced books as a kindergartner. Like,
yeah.
I think the first time I read Harry Potter 4, I was like 6 years old.
My mom was a manager at a 7-Eleven during my like young childhood. So she'd leave me with all like these alphabet books, and I'd already like taught myself to read before I even made it to kindergarten. So while other people were still using like the pictograph things, like the pictures where they replaced the word duck with like a picture of a duck, I was reading far beyond that, and my teachers were just like, "What do we do with him? Like, do we bump him up?" Like, and they never really bumped me up, but they were just like, "He's always at the end of the read." You know, they'd level the reading A to Z, where Z was like the hardest stuff, and I'd always be up there in the Z, like, dude, I'm running out of books to read. Like, we're not even halfway through the year. Like,
yeah,
it was nuts. I was really always a good reader.
Yeah, I went very quickly from like Ben has a ball, Ben played with the ball, Ben has a sister, to like Harry lived at 11 Privet Drive.
Oh yeah. But some of the Decepticons, and then they shat out some milk. This milk became known as Milktown. Here's the map of Milktown. All Sonnies are innocent until proven guilty in the court of lactose intolerance.
Whoa. Oh, okay. I'll have to circle back to this, but I got something. But yeah, so you asked me about Animorphs, and we didn't even get there.
Yeah. How do they morph? Rather, I guess.
So, if I remember correctly from the stories, the 5 main kids.
There's main kid. I didn't even know that. Wow.
Yeah, so there's 5 actual kids and there's an alien, right?
Okay.
The alien, he flees to Earth. He like crash lands on Earth or something like that, because there's a war in outer space between his race and another race, and he's like he I don't remember if he fled or if he crash landed, but he landed on Earth. The kids come across the space shuttle, and one of the things that his race can do to survive or something is they can transform into other species so they can hide.
Okay.
The kids wind up like acquiring this power. I think they like touch an orb or something, and it like gives them the power to change their DNA into the animals and stuff. And I think the first set of books is like them learning to control that power, because like at first they like couldn't or something. I don't remember exactly. But then it sort of evolved into like that other race, that other alien race is coming, and they have to prepare for it.
That kind of reminds me of weird off-topic Nickelodeon teenage girl show. H2O Just Add Water. It was about like 3 Australian girls, and they visit this like temple alien-esque thing, and like the magical water turns them into mermaids. So the whole premise is like outside the water, walk perfectly fine, get a drop on you, turn into a damn fish, like into a damn mermaid. And I'm like, how are they doing this? Because I guess it's some sort of alien magic shit. Anyway, don't remember how long it was on, how long the run was, or anything else about it. I was just like, she'd take a shower and turn into a mermaid. So her boyfriend would come by like, knock, 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 hey baby, and she'd be like not now, like she'd be a mermaid in the shower. So like she'd be like, in a minute, like I'm just like, this is weird. Anyway,
At what point, at what degree of dryness does it let you turn
That's
back?
what I
'Cause
was wondering. I have no
sweat
idea.
makes you wet.
Right. I have no idea. I don't know. I don't know how the premise worked all the way through. All
And
I
sweat
remember.
would be more akin to like what they're like. So that's salt water.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I've no idea. And on top of it, they live like off the coast of Australia. These girls do. So like their sports are like surfing, like aquatic sports are like the main thing. I think one of
You
them
just
was like
call in sick to school and work
right.
every time it
I
rains.
think one of them was on like the fucking swim team, bro. To be honest with you, I don't know if I'm remembering that right, but it's like, how do you even how?
Now, if you're a mermaid and you're on the swim team, is that like a PED, a performance enhancing drug? Is that like steroids for the swim team?
I don't know. Speaking of swim teams, we're a little off topic. It's okay. There's a reason Power Rangers Samurai is my favorite. I think it has some of the best. Give me a minute. Give me a minute. Stop laughing at me. Let me circle back.
Okay.
I
Please
love
continue.
I love how this set of Rangers they all have like it all shows them in their personal lives before they get called. I guess unless there's danger, you kind of just pass on the power. The Blue Ranger is like on a swim team and wants to be part of the Olympics. Like he's the best in his high school swim team. So he just leaves them behind, no word, no nothing to become the Blue Ranger. And I don't know, that moment really just hit me. Like the man just gave up his whole like ambition to go be a Power Ranger. So speaking of swim teams, that's where that is.
The call to greater good.
All right, let's go back. We've gone from like scary to like girl powered show to like
Well, I
Power
can circle
Rangers.
this right back in. There's a movie that I actually wanted to talk about that not many people have seen. Have you seen The Faculty?
No.
Okay, so it is kind of like a sci-fi scary movie type deal. It's kind of like Body Snatchers, where aliens
Okay.
are taking over people's bodies in this town. It has Josh Hartnett, Elijah Wood, Usher is in it. Yes.
Are you serious? Elijah Wood and Usher had a movie together?
Yeah, and oh god, what is her name?
What?
I can't say her name right.
What?
It's like Famke Janssen, something along those lines.
I can't believe Usher and Elijah Wood have a goddamn movie together.
Yeah, it's pretty insane. Another person that's in that movie is Robert Patrick. He played the T-2000 in Terminator 2, the cop.
Okay. How many cannons are you gonna mix together there?
Dude, there's a bunch.
It's a lot.
But The Faculty
That's
is cool
ridiculous.
because it introduces like really against horror movie trope ideas. It's cool. You should at least watch The Faculty once, even if you don't like it. You'd be like, "Huh, it's different." If you like horror movies, watch The Faculty at least once.
I like horror movies. Elijah Wood and Usher. That's crazy.
Elijah Wood actually, he started his own production company, like exclusively focused on making horror movies that are different from what's being made currently. It's kind of like what Blumhouse is doing.
Huh. Okay. Yeah. Blumhouse is doing some good stuff too.
So yeah, he's actually Elijah Wood just put out a movie on Amazon that's a scary movie. He's like the lead star, and it's about a man reconnecting with his dad after a long time. It's really weird.
Okay. That's gonna take a while to sink in for sure.
No, I get it.
I don't know. I feel that way about a lot of like child actors who I watched as children, and they grow up and do these other roles that are like, he's playing what now? Like,
Well, have you ever seen The Good Son?
no.
Dude, he was a kid in The Good Son with Macaulay Culkin.
That's crazy.
That movie is fucked up. If you get the chance, watch
Dude.
The Good Son. It's crazy.
How many fucked up movies? My mind is blown. I think I underestimated just how deep this stuff goes. This horror movie
Dude,
stuff.
I'm telling you, I love scary movies. I've seen so granted, The Good Son may not be like scary in the sense that we're talking about scary movies, but it is so fucked up and weird that it's super suspenseful and kind of terrifying because it's the kid. So Macaulay Culkin plays the good son, right?
Okay.
He's like mom's version of the ideal kid, and Elijah Wood
Right.
is his cousin visiting.
Mm-hmm.
And the good son, Macaulay Culkin, he builds a replica of a human. He calls him Mr. Highway, and they take him to an overpass, and he tosses Mr. Highway off of a bridge, and it causes like an 18-car pileup.
What the hell?
Yeah.
That's not. Oh my god.
Yeah, you should
It's
watch The
awful.
Good Son. It's
That's
great.
horrible.
And it was, I mean, it's Macaulay Culkin and Elijah Wood when they were like, 9 or 10 years old.
This man is still home aloneing. Far past his Home Alone.
For real. Dude,
That's Home Alone on a dangerous scale. The man went from pranking a couple of robbers to causing a buildup on the highway. He's killing people. Like, what?
Yeah.
Oh, that's too much. That's too much to handle.
You should definitely watch The Good Son. I think you'll
Yeah.
like it. That's kind of the last movie that I wanted to talk about there, but I did want to share this story. So the other day, I couldn't. I don't have like a reasoning of thought that was leading up to this, but it's kind of like whenever inspiration hits, it just kind of just comes out of nowhere sometimes.
Uh-huh.
I was laying in bed and my girlfriend was with me. She was watching TikToks and I was just kind of sitting there and I go, man, how fucked up of a horror movie would it be if there was like a small town that like had a gardening competition and this person was like killing people and putting them in their compost and like growing these like award-winning flowers. And my girlfriend goes, that just sounds like a vegan Sweeney Todd.
I was about to say, have you seen Sweeney Todd?
And I was like, yeah, I guess in theory it sounds like a vegan Sweeney Todd, but in my head it doesn't seem anything like that. But then after I started thinking about it, I was like, it actually kind of sounds like Secret Window, if you've seen Secret Window.
I have not, but it sounds like Sweeney Todd in the sense like the pie shop starts off as like desolate, but it becomes like critical acclaimed like success after he starts cooking humans.
Mm-hmm.
So I can see. No, I've never seen Secret Window though.
Secret Window's pretty great. It's based on a Stephen King story. It's got Johnny Depp in it.
Those are so did Sweeney Todd, so at least the movie version.
Yes.
The stage version. Sweeney Todd movie version also had Snape, I think, was in that movie.
Nope.
Could be wrong.
Nope.
If it wasn't Snape, it was someone else.
It was Sacha Baron Cohen. It was Borat.
Was it?
Yeah.
Wait, who played the judge? In Sweeney Todd?
It was not Alan Rickman.
It was Alan. I'm like 95% sure it was Alan Rickman.
I'm pretty sure it was not Alan Rickman.
I'm like,
oh, it was Alan Rickman.
I'm very dead set. I'm like, I know that face.
Oh no,
I know that voice. Yeah. So was Alan Rickman. About Potter and about not being killed in Sweeney Todd, so
Yeah. So so speaking of Sweeney Todd,
it was wrong choice.
So it's kind of just to lighten the mood a little bit. I watched this comedian the other day, and I feel bad because I don't remember his name, but he was talking about the joke was like getting therapy, and he was like, I can't afford therapy. He's like, what will $1 of therapy get me? And this guy goes, go see Sweeney Todd. Have you seen Sweeney Todd? Go see Sweeney Todd. And he's like, no, I haven't seen it. So he's like, I went to watch Sweeney Todd, and he goes, Stephen Sondheim, top 5 lyricists of all time. It goes Biggie, Eminem, Pac, Andre 3000, Stephen Sondheim. And he's like, and here's why. And he starts going into the worst pies in London, and he's going through the lyrics. And there's the lyric where it says, "Popping pussies into pies."
Yeah,
because at first they were just baking cats into the pie, but he goes, popping pussies into pies. He goes, that's the hardest shit I've ever heard of all time. He goes, 1977, a white man was doing
Sondheim
that.
He had some bangers, to say the least.
And then he goes,
didn't he just pass away recently, or is that someone else I'm thinking of?
I don't know.
Because they did the closing of the curtain for him, I think. I don't know if that was Sondheim though. I don't, because Sondheim could have also been dead for a long time. I don't know.
I will look it up.
But if to your knowledge he was alive, I do believe he's passed.
No, he passed in November of 2021. He passed.
Yes, and it was a big deal on Broadway. Like they did the curtain for him and everything. So yeah, what a legend, dude.
Definitely
kind of like Sonny says stuff.
I appreciate that, but I don't feel legendary. I just feel dairy.
Seriously. For everyone at home, that wasn't planned. I'm
a milky boy. What do you want me to say?
I think last time I bought a bag of Milky Ways fun size today. Uh, and I was just thinking about what you told me last episode about how it's kind of illegal that one of the Milktown podcast hosts' favorite candy bar is a Milky Way. But then I reminded you, I was like, dude, milk's been my thing for a long time, and also Milky Ways are just great.
It's true. It was definitely like you had the milk points on your channel, and that was kind of your thing. And I just leaned into it. I was like, hey,
Dude,
man, we
no,
should do a podcast. We should call it Milktown. Now it's
I've
kind of
never,
spawned into something else.
yeah, I've
Okay.
never heard of a lactose intolerant guy leaning into milk. Usually, you
I
want to
think it's
avoid
an
it.
interesting idea. Like, it's a fun motif because milk is like very neutral, in terms of just like symbolism or anything.
I thought you were gonna say acidity. I'm like, it's actually a little basic, man.
It's pretty basic.
Yeah.
Um, but no. So what I wanted to mention earlier is we actually had our first piece of fan mail. They gave us some recommendations for topics.
hmm
We will talk about it in private because I think it's awesome, and I
hmm
think that you'll agree that it's awesome. But they also told me that they did not agree with Crimson Lance becoming the Postmaster General of Milktown.
Why not?
They thought that he should be the Prince of Pasteurization.
I see my Dane of Dairy is getting no love, and that's fine.
But yeah, so that's one thing I wanted to mention. But also, speaking of your favorite dairy boys here, we
Oh yeah,
are now downloadable on WWE 2K22.
my best friend, Mario Marston. He's always been such a creative guy in WWE 2K. He's gotten like every game since 14. And as soon as you were like, I wish somebody would make characters, I was like, nobody is gonna do it better than Mario. And God bless America, did he do very well?
They're awesome. They're
They're great.
incredible. But yeah, if you search up Sonny Says Stuff and nostalgia_N8 in
Yep.
WWE 2K22, you can download us. You can make us a tag team. And if you're listening and have the game, I really want you guys to send us clips of you whipping our asses to milktownpod@gmail.com.
Also, I need to see what my entrance looks like because I told Mario just get wacky. Like yours had a little more hands on. I was like, dude, it needs to be as ridiculous
That's
as
what I
Sunny,
said.
if not more. So I don't know what he did for the entrances. I didn't see them. But they do capture my beanie and flannel combo. Also, there's an alternate attire for me where I'm wearing a leather jacket, which is cool. Throwback to my
That
high
is
school
pretty
days.
sick.
Because I was known. I got into the yearbook with that leather jacket.
Ooh.
Fun fact. So, yeah, man, go download us. Fight with us. Fight against us. Throw me off the top of the cell. I've always wanted to get thrown off the top of the cell into the announcer's table. Send us your clips, man.
Yeah, I really want to see you guys kicking our ass. I would love to do a Sonny and Nate react to Milktown getting destroyed.
Dude, yes, that'd be great.
But so not only that, another thing that I wanted to say to you guys, I'm looking at the stats out there. I see us growing. If you guys are listening, I appreciate it. I appreciate that you guys are coming in to hang out with us for an hour and a half at a time.
Yeah, man.
I know it kind of feels like an episode of Seinfeld to me by the time we're done here, that it's like we don't really talk about anything. But it's fun to hang out with you guys, and if you guys are enjoying it and think we're funny, like please let us know. Let us know what we can do better. That same email always open.
Yeah, I'll plug it at the bottom of the YouTube variant.
Yeah, and I'll put it in the Spotify description on this episode. But yeah, it's we appreciate having feedback. Especially if like we miss something, and we try to do our best about covering our bases and stuff like that. So in honor of this horror movie episode where there's so much that we can't talk about, this week on my Twitch channel, Nate and I are going to tier list as many horror movies as we can find.
Yes. Let's do it. I'm down to clown.
Yeah. So we're gonna do that, and yeah, I hope that you guys are mad about our placements.
Yeah, no, I'll plug the Twitches. I'll plug everything as I always do. You'll be able to find us really easily.
But yeah, so I don't have anything else to say today. Nate, do you have any news for our listeners?
Have a good week. That's my news. Things get hard sometimes. I've had a hard weekend, but Just have a good week. That's my news. Every day you wake up is a day that someone else didn't. So
That's very
make,
whole
make
milksome of you.
yeah, that just destroyed 2% of my brain power.
Oh,
Okay.
that's what I'm here for. That's what I do.
All right. Well, that's it. Just enjoy, everybody. Have a good week. I'm Nostalgia Nate.
And I'm Sunny Says Stuff, and we're Milktown Pod. See you next week.
Yeah. Peace out.